Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2005 sequel film, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So we're on Kashyyyk, we're on Utapu, we're on Polis Mata, we're on Naboo, we're on Coruscant, we're on Tatooine. We're in a bunch of places, right? This is long. This is about 2 hours and 20 something minutes. It's a wrap up. So much happens. We start out with Anakin and Obi-Wan in cruisers. Above Coruscant, there's a fight going on because General Grievous's droid fleet, has infiltrated the Senate, kidnapped the Chancellor, and so it's a rescue mission. And a good beginning of the film is a good quarter of the film is saving the Chancellor, the chaos that ensues within the ship, R2 having his funny moments, Obi-Wan and Anakin working very well together. So it's then revealed once the Chancellor is back on Coruscant, once Anakin sees his wife Padme in the shadows, it's revealed that she's pregnant. So now he's starting to have visions of her dying and in pain, suffering, death, right? Pain, suffering, death. Like, this memes, constant memes from this particular episode. So Anakin wants to save Padme. He doesn't want her to die like his mom did. He couldn't save his mom, and he'll be damned if he lets Padme have the same fate that his mother had. So what does he do, right? While this is happening, we have different clone armies on different planets. We have different Jedi generals leading the different clone armies, clone troops in the different planets fighting. So Obi-Wan is chased Grievous down to a planet on Utapu, fighting Grievous there. Yoda is with Chewbacca and the Wookiees on Kashyyyk, fighting some droids there. Things are happening. And then Mace Windu confronts Chancellor Palpatine after it's revealed to Anakin that Palpatine is actually Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord that they've been assuming was having some influence all this time. After Anakin beheads Count Dooku, this is the first Star Wars film rated PG-13. A lot of beheading in this. Saving the Chancellor, killing Count Dooku. So then it's a matter of putting the Separatists now on Mustafar. Oh, we're on Mustafar as well. We're in a lot of places in this film. Waiting for Darth Vader to come to take care of them, as he quotes. But Mace Windu finds this out and he goes to confront him. But Mace does what a Jedi's not supposed to do, and he goes for the kill. And then Emperor Palpatine, who's really Darth Sidious, electrocutes him after the transformation of him. The attempt on my life has left me scarred, right? Another meme. So he's then arms cut off, thrown out the window. Last we see of Mace Windu. Possible that he's still alive, as we thought Boba was dead, but Boba was still alive. So I'm waiting for Samuel L. Jackson's return in a Bryce Howard directed project of Mace Windu's return. Very interesting to see what he's done since the fall of the Republic, or the end of the Clone Wars, beginning of the Empire. So Anakin is now in the dark side, right? He wants to do everything he can to protect Padme, but in the process of this, he's following the Emperor's orders. He goes on a killing spree. He kills many a Jedi. He kills many a younglings, and it's very hard to watch this, more so now than it was then. There wasn't many school massacres in 2005 when this came out, as opposed to now in 2023, when I'm currently watching this, January 6, 2023, the second year anniversary of the insurrection on the Capitol. So that brings more death into the play. America, right? But there's been countless school shootings, and it's very desensitizing in a terrible, terrible aspect. It's like, oh, it's Tuesday. Another thing happened, right? Horrible. It's horrible how comfortable we got with everything, and how change has been such a slow, agonizing process. On that note, seeing fallen younglings in the Jedi Temple, very hard to look at. It was hard to look at back in 2005, but it's super disturbing to look at now in 2023. Very disturbing. That's the best word for it. And it's supposed to cause a nerve. It's supposed to strike a nerve. It's supposed to be upsetting. It's supposed to be disturbing. It's supposed to make you angry. Without anger, there'd be no change. And that's the purpose of all these films. Without anger, there'd be no change. Whether it's anger for a just cause, anger for a cause you think is right, but it actually is harmful to others, it's interesting. It's all about perspective, and it's very interesting when you speak about perspective. So having Obi-Wan confront Anakin thinking Padme betrayed him and goes for the choke, the Force choke from afar, and just him and causing Padme's pain. He's the reason for her pain within his premonitions. Very interesting on the twist of that. Her going into labor after Obi-Wan and Anakin fight on Mustafar. Anakin's legs are chopped, his other arm is chopped, he's burned, and the whole I have the high ground, and then Anakin screams in flames, "I hate you," right? Memed galore constantly. It's used as a Reels audio and a TikTok audio for countless of videos. But the birth of Luke, the birth of Leia, Bail Organa saying they're going to take Leia, Luke being given to Owen and Beru on Tatooine. So it's an amazing wrap up, because I've said this previously in other Star Wars reviews we've done. The 7th season finale, the series finale of the Clone Wars TV series, the first episode of The Bad Batch, and episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, all coincide at the same time. At Bad Batch, we have young Kanan Jarrus and his master having to fight clone troopers when Order 66 is declared. That's in Bad Batch. The last 4 episodes of Clone Wars season 7 is about Ahsoka and Rex doing their thing to get rid of his inhibitor chip, and going through their version of Order 66 while other stuff is happening. So it's not just the Anakin story. It's not just the Anakin and Obi-Wan story. It's so many other characters have so many other things going on within Order 66, within that final battle between Separatists versus Republic. Anakin defeating all the Separatists when he gets to Mustafar before Obi-Wan even gets there. It's very interesting knowing that 3 separate titles coexist at the same time. It's so cool knowing that now. Season 7 of Clone Wars didn't come out until 2020 on Disney+. Season 1 of Bad Batch was 21 on Disney+. So we didn't actually have a technical finale for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which came out in 2005, until, 15 years later? It's just so neat how it all works together, and how it all just works so wonderfully well together that you can't have those side stories and it all makes sense, because it's all one story. It's not a linear story. It's very branchy within the stories, right? Very cool. Very, very difficult to watch this, knowing what we've known, knowing what we've seen, the character development bringing up to this part. But again, it's a new beginning. So now that Palpatine is the Emperor of the Galactic Empire, what next, right? The last shot we have is Darth Vader and Palpatine looking at the Death Star being built, which we see the plans being passed off in Attack of the Clones from Geonosis leader to Count Dooku. But then the final shot we have is technically Beru and Owen staring at the double sun setting on Tatooine, holding baby Luke. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say. What was it? It was one of those other side story kind of tracking things. Death Star, Palpatine, Geonosis. I was following a train of thought, and the train just went kersplat right into the lava pits on Mustafar. I was going to say something else that I thought was really neat. It's gone. I don't remember what it was. Nope. Gone. We tried. There's just so much information within the shows, within the films. that, I was trying to say something. Yoda? Is it with Yoda? No, last we see with Yoda is he's with Bail on that planetoid where Leia gives birth. But then knowing that Ahsoka is actually on Naboo, watching the parade of the funeral procession of Padme go by. Oh, it's just, you just know what's happening like 7 steps away from the camera, and you're like, bruh. It's just so cool. It's so cool having the stories within the stories. I just love it so much. So much depth within structure. Oh, geeking out. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. That's not the point I was trying to make, but it is something I wanted to state as well. So, I remember. Okay. It wasn't a point. It was facts. So from episode 1 to 2, it was 10 years. And they specifically say 10 years later, right? And I said, I want to know what happened within the 10 years. The Clone Wars was 3 years. So from episode 2, Attack of the Clones, 3 years later, we have Revenge of the Sith, which is the end of the Clone War. So if it was 3 years worth of 7 seasons of a TV series, plus another season of Bad Batch, right? If that was 8 seasons worth of stuff for 3 years worth of time, and that was between episode 2 and 3, and that was 3 years, what happened during the 10-year gap between episode 1 and episode 2? I mean, yeah, like I said, we gloss over Darth Maul being in that scrapyard and getting the spider legs and his mental breakdown and all that stuff. But what else happened? What else happened during the 10 years between episode 1 and episode 2? I'm sure that there was flashbacks within Clone Wars that I just genuinely don't remember. Like quick statements or something like that. Oh, remember when this happened. But we focus so much between the 3 years between episode 2 and episode 3 within Clone Wars. There's a film, there's the movie, the 2008 movie, and then 3 months later we have the start of the 7-season TV series. What happened between episode 1 and 2? I want to know, because now with all the new Star Wars shows, it's really what happens between episodes 3 and 4. Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and/or Star Wars Rebels is technically within that chunk as well. And that's, I don't know how many years that is. What is that? How old is Luke in Star Wars A New Hope? 17? I feel like he's 17. 17 or 18? I'll go look that up. I actually don't know. But if that was between Luke and Leia being born to the beginning of A New Hope, there's that chunk, which is all these TV shows now. Ahsoka's going to be a part of that timeline as well. The TV series Ahsoka. What happened between the 10-year difference between episode 1 and episode 2? I want to know. I want to know. If somebody knows, please tell me, because I don't know. Because the information that's been provided to us within TV and film, I cannot recall if it was established what it was. But I'm sure some adventures happened. I want more pod racing. That's just another little tiff of that. But, so we've done 3, 6, 7. We've talked about 7 films so far. I got to go back into my list of things. I don't remember which ones we have talked about and which ones we haven't talked about. Like I said, the more you watch these back to back to back to back, the more information is just in your head, and you're like, there's just so much to remember. So much to remember. It's like I'm getting a crash course in history, and it's fictitious history. It's a fandom history. So I'm trying to remember now, but I'm going to go to my list. We're going to see what the next one. I think we have to watch Solo next, if I'm doing them now in story order. But I feel like we talked about Solo. I don't remember. We're going to go back to the list. We're going to see what happens next. May the Force be with you. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.